Boom! What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're doing every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Haitian Space Program, you are number one today. What's good, my brother? Um, it is pouring raining outside in the New York City area. Um, I don't think you guys can hear it, but it's it's out there. Um, Spook Realm 4Q, what's up? And of course, Spook Realm says assault that like button and buy the epic story. My brother's name is Kenny. Yes, the book, the link is in the description below. Please hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We got more stuff coming. I want you guys to know when things are being released. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. I know all you guys are subscribed, but maybe some new people forgot to subscribe or whatever. So let's go. Papa Sincere, what up? Let's see how far behind I could. You know what the problem is, too? I already start behind, and then I got to try to catch up. I don't recognize this name, Cousin Rabbit. What's up, Kenny? Glad I finally caught alive. I'm glad you finally caught alive, too. What's good? Um, Gregory Netter says, Yo, Kenny, on eBay, they are selling KRS-One Sex and Violence, a Source magazine from April 1992 for $130. Wow. Yeah, that is a wow. Were you a full-time BDP member at that time? Yes, I was. Not only was I a full-time member, but that magazine interview was recorded the day after the PM Dawn incident. For those of you guys that did not see, I can't believe there's anybody left that's watching this channel that did not watch my breakdown of KRS-One versus PM Dawn. I did it like 2 years ago, but and it got a lot of views. But if you didn't get a chance to check that out, check that out. And the Source magazine interview was recorded the day after the PM Dawn incident, and I guess it came out for the April 1992 uh, Source magazine, but it was recorded a few months earlier. I was actually there um, when Chris did that interview. That interview caused a lot of controversy, y'all. A lot of controversy and some beefs. Big Bat, what up? Rosmel, what up? I'm gonna move through. Dre Stack Dollars. Dre Stack Dollars said I've been part of the Rewind crew lately, KP. That's okay. Big up to the Rewind crew. We love the Rewind crew, man. If you can't make it on a Tuesday or Friday, 8 p.m., you got all week. Just please check out the videos. Abel Valdez was good. John Walker was good. Earl Green, MMA Crossfire, Patrick Y, JT, what up? MMA says Blue Jays are going for 10 straight tonight against the White Sox. I don't really watch baseball that much. Um, I was heavy into the Yankees from New York during the Jeter Mariano Rivera era. Mariano Rivera era. But lately I haven't really been watching it. Mike Rock says, kaboom, look who stepped in the room. To Cal coming with the Shaolin style. Terrence Hill, what up? No, I did not see the De La Soul video yet, but what I did see, and I gotta call my man. I think I want to call him in the morning. Sadat X's new video with my other brother, DJ Alamo, is fire. They rocking over the sample to EPMD used for Big Payback. Dent, dent. Sadat murdered that. And it's so good to see him and Alamo together. He sounds so fresh and crispy, like it's 1990. I'm going to call him in the morning, and I'm going to let him know how much I loved that video and song. But I did not see the De La Soul yet, man. Anyway, where you been? Happy birthday to Kenny. That's Kenny Parker tomorrow. Yes, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Yes, my birthday is tomorrow. Um, yeah, God willing, I wake up tomorrow would have made another year. I am happy to and blessed to be alive. I know a lot of people that did not make it to my age. I know a lot of people from where I'm from that didn't make it out of their teens. Um, so I embrace getting older. Let's go. Give me, I need like 40, 50 more. Let's go, man. I'm trying to get to 100. Let's do it. But thank you so much. Anyway, I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Um, let's see. Mike Rocks, GF Worrell, what up? Terrell McMillan, I'm moving, trying to move quick. Chef Daddy, what up? Um, Crusher Blackwell said, did you work on Harmony's 1990 album, Let There Be Harmony? No. I hate that she didn't get for in hip hop, even though she's a gospel soloist. She's the original Lauryn Hill on an amazing, yeah. Um, for those that don't know, KRS-One produced most of that album, or a lot of it. I know Todd Terry, the legendary house producer, had did some work on that album. She was signed to Virgin, I believe. And I believe her manager was Beth Ann Hardison, Kadeem Hardison's mother. And Harmony is Miss Melody, rest in peace, the late Miss Melody's sister. Me and Harmony were cool, of course, toured with her a lot when she was rolling with BDP. I have not seen Harmony probably since 1990. I probably have not seen Harmony since her debut album came out in 1990. That's 35 years. I hope she's doing well. What up, Harmony? Um, and to answer the question, no, I did not work on Harmony's album. Was I even in the studio? I wasn't even in the studio for Harmony's album. And at that time, BDP was working on like 5 projects at the same time, doing Harmony, Miss Melody, Edutainment, Sly and Robbie, um, Ziggy Marley, that's 5, and some other stuff. It was all going on at the same time. And I was in and out of the studio. I was just getting down with BDP at that point. Danielle LaDon Freeman, yo, KP, what's good? Can you explain how Chris came up with his Blastmaster nickname? That's a great question. I will save that. I will reserve that for when KRS comes on the channel, so he can properly um, explain. But I do think it comes from his graffiti. For those that don't know, KRS-One was a heavy graffiti artist as well. And I think his graffiti name and style bled into his hip hop. DJ Q Storm 101, salute from Beantown. Big up Beantown. Tori D, what's up? Rasul Hassan, what's up? Cutie Pop 509, I'm glad to see you get to make it on a regular. Much love to everyone. Much love to you. Ronald Booher. Happy birthday. Have some money. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate the birthday blessing. Yes, I definitely will enjoy my birthday tomorrow. Thank you so much. CMC says the boom bap, DJ KP, what up? Yes. Oh, speaking of that, I will be posting another beat tomorrow, a beat that you've heard, the beat that's called Homemade. Of those that were watching the SP1200 series that I was doing, I was playing beats off the SP1200, old beats that I had, and a couple of them that really rose to the top of the pile was the piano beat, which I call Piano Groove. I posted that last week, and I'm gonna post Homemade probably tomorrow, so people can listen, enjoy, rap to, buy, whatever you want to do. But I'm gonna post that. Um, let's see. Reggie Johnson says K to the P, sup from the A. Big up to the A. Haven't been in a long time. Paul Lepe, what's up? Rod Justice says Daddy-O did a listening party last night. Dope new album from the old dad. Yeah, I have not seen Daddy-O in a long, long time, but he's always been cool with me. Of course, he's a friend of KRS. They go back to the Latin Quarter days. We'd love to have him on the channel at some point. That would be dope. Um, Jason Wall, Central Ohio, what up? Philly Sheed, what up? Reggie Johnson says the Yankees suck. I haven't been following, man. Let's see. Anthony August, what up? What do you think about the Knicks Mike Brown hire? You know, it always amazes me how coaches could get fired from one spot and reappear a couple of years later, brand new and fresh in another spot. Same league, same players, same time period. You could be coach of the year. First of all, coaching in the NBA is brutal. You could be coach of the year one year and a couple years later could get fired. Um, and everybody knows you got fired. Your record is out there. Everybody knows your style. So then when you go to another meeting and it's like, I'm here for the job. Well, how did it go at your last job? I got fired for doing the same job. And for some coaches, I've been fired multiple times, like Mike Brown. Needless to say, he is a veteran coach. He has coached stars. Um, I don't know what to make of Mike Brown hire as of yet. I'm gonna hold judgment and wait and see because I thought the firing of Thibodeau was weird. But I guess after 5 years, I guess they figure he can take them as far as they can take. He could take them. So now Mike Brown is here to take that same cast of characters from the Knicks, if they keep the team together, which is a Final Four team, and get them over the hump. I don't know. It's just like the music business, where you could be at a record label, blow millions of dollars, have multiple albums that did not recoup sales, lose that job, and reappear at another major label. Same job, more budgets, more acts. I find that hard to. I would never hire a person that got fired recently from a job from the company down the street. And me as an employer, I just don't see how that works. But it works in sports and it works in business. Um, Rod Justice, happy born, KP. Thank you. John Walker, happy born. Um, Happy almost born day. Yes, thank you so much. Um, I know KP can't sing, but he swear he's a singer when he says, anyway. And you got to notice the facial expression too. Yes, I do swear I'm a singer when I say that. I am a singer. Have I ever sung on a record? I've been in some choruses. I was in the chorus to We In There. I was in the chorus to Feel the Vibe, Feel the Beat. Have I ever sung? I never sung. but I've been in some choruses. I'm a singer, man. Y'all keep it up. I might sing on here tonight. Could you imagine? Oh man. Anthony Augustus, happy birthday, KP. My birthday just passed July 2nd. Big up to all the cancers out there. Bill Shapiro, Real Ting may have been the most slept on KRS project. Matt Lyons' first album. Yeah, there was some joints on there. Matt Lyon was on fire for a second. I produced a song on there called Double Trouble. Not the video version. The video version is the remix of Double Trouble. That was produced by KRS-One. I produced the album version of Double Trouble. So I did a joint for Mad Lion. Joey Joe says, why you never kept in touch with Harmony? Well, that was Miss Melody's sister. And so, you know, after Miss Melody and KRS split, all the factions went in, you know, both directions. Of course, I went with my bro in that direction, and Harmony and Miss Melody went in that direction with her sister. And that was it. I didn't have a relationship with Harmony like I would call her on the phone and just kick it with her. I saw Harmony when we had functions. I saw Harmony either at Chris's house or at shows. So we didn't have a relationship like I would be calling her, chilling with her. Like me and Willie D, rest in peace from BDP, had a really close relationship. We hung out a lot, went to concerts a lot, drove around New York City in his ride a lot, just talked on the phone a lot. Like me and him had a relationship. I've chilled with D Nice multiple times, been to his crib back when he was just leaving BDP. So when Call Me D Nice was out, chilled at his crib a few times. He came to my crib. We've hung out, had mutual friends, all hang out. So like me, Willie D, D Nice had a relationship like that. I'm not gonna count Heather B. That was my friend before BDP. But everybody else was more work related. So Harmony was a work relationship. But she was cool though. Let's see. Def Rocker says, you heard about the supergroup KRS Rakim, G Rap and Kane. Well, I haven't spoken to Chris yet about that. I'm gonna put that as it remains to be seen. Um, it would be great if it happened. Well, a lot of things would have to line up. And all the articles that I've seen, it always says supergroup, question mark. So no one has the real info on that. I hope to get some clarity on that, but it remains to be seen. Napoleon, what up, bro? Says, man, I can't even say how many times I listened to that edutainment joint with Harmony, 7 DJs and all that. Enough respect from I'm gonna mess that up. Bisencon, France. That's my man Napoleon. What up? I was in the studio for 7 DJs. I was in the room for that. The guy who produced that song was named Backspin. That was one of the few songs or edutainment that KRS didn't produce. A guy named Backspin, the same guy who did It's Just Another Case of That OPTA. That guy who produced that song produced 7 DJs for edutainment. I was in the room when he brought in his machine, he hooked it up, he laid down the beat, everybody flowed on it. Dope song. Um, Benny Doyle, what up? MK Ultra says KP homemade show intro beat. Maybe. I'm gonna play a few beats And then maybe we'll decide which one will be an intro beat. Then I got to figure out how to put it up. Joey Joe says that piano beat was dope. Thank you so much. Um, Another question, any word on the Rakim KRS Supergroup? No, I have no word on that yet. Patrick White says, no loyalty in the NBA. Players rule the league. Yeah, but players get traded and heartbroken just like anybody else. You know, we get mad when our favorite players leave during free agency and change teams and stuff. But what about the players who wanted to stay and get traded, like a Luka Doncic? There's no love in the NBA for players, coaches, owners. They'll have a lockout. They'll walk out over salary. It's ruthless, man. This is an interesting question. Yo, KP, is there any known MCs that you actually witnessed that KRS took out that public don't really know about? Not that I witnessed, but Chris told me about a couple of known MCs. Couple of known, one MC had a hit record. If I sung the record, you would know it. And he battled KRS before BDP dropped. So this is before South Bronx. So this is homeless KRS. I believe that Chris told me that him, this MC, and Scott LaRock were on the back of the 2 train in New York heading to the Bronx and got into a battle. And it did not go well for the other MC. Homeless KRS gave it to him, as I heard it. This was an MC who had a hit out at that time. And then when South Bronx dropped, there was another impromptu battle with another known MC who got hurt live in front of a crowd messing with KRS. And they were friends, but they remained friends, but things got a little hot on stage and a battle came out of nowhere. And those are 2 that I know that Chris told me about. And some other people have told me about. The second one where Chris battled the guy live, other people told me about this too, but I was not there. To be there, because after the bridge is over, really Criminal Minded, there wasn't really any more people trying to battle KRS like that. And then he moved into the conscious lane. I mean, there was a couple people that stepped up, but not really. The PM Dawn incident was supposed to be a battle. For those that didn't check it out, please go check that out. I'm trying to think over the years. No, I would have to say no, none that I saw. That's a great question though, but there was a few that I heard about. Let's see. Sidney Rhodes, what up? Salute. Diesel said you can get fired the same year as winning Coach of the Year. Yeah. On another note, how about like people whose talk shows get canceled and then they be up for an Emmy? Didn't that happen to Wayne Brady? Didn't Wayne Brady like get his show get canceled and then he won an Emmy or something like that? Something crazy like that? It happens in entertainment too. It's ruthless out here in these streets, man. Cutie Pie, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says, being from Seattle, Myself, I'm curious on your thoughts on what Sir Mix-a-Lot brought to the rap hip hop community, songs like Square Dance Rap, etc. I don't know Square Dance Rap. My first introduction to Sir Mix-a-Lot was My Posse's on Broadway, which I like that song. That song used to be on the video jukebox. Remember the video jukebox where you call and it was 99 cents and they would play your video and you could call as many times as you want? My Posse's on Broadway. That song used to be on all the time. I think that was 88 or 89. 89. And he had an ill style. I'm driving down the street, me and my homies. I loved that song. Um, and then my next, I'm here in New York, so back then they hardly played no records that weren't from New York. So my next, they didn't even play My Posse's on Broadway. I saw the video. I never heard the record played in New York. And then the next time I heard Sir Mix-a-Lot was, of course, his monster hit, Baby Got Back. And I believe that he owned the record label and the publishing and the masters to that song. He made millions. So my history of Sir Mix-a-Lot is really 2 songs. But I know he made a lot of money as a businessman. And he was one of the first people not from New York or Cali to break out. Matter of fact, to go national, he might have been #1. You look at 89, well, 2 Live Crew was popping around that time too. They put Miami, Florida on the map. I think they're from Miami. So 2 Live Crew blew. Ghetto Boys didn't really blow yet in New York nationally to me. But Sir Mix-a-Lot blew and 2 Live Crew were the 2 groups that blew that were not from Cali or New York. So I give him respect for that. I don't think I've ever met Sir Mix-a-Lot either. I don't think we've ever did a show with them in my time with him. But yeah, that's my answer to the question. My Posse's on Broadway. They was riding around in that limo. Crusher Blackwell says, Kenny, even though you, Chris, Scott LaRock, Miss Melody, D Nice, Willie D, Sidney Mills, Just Ice were the core of BDP. Just Ice was not in BDP. He was a affiliate. Where were the involvements of Mick Boo, RoboCop, and Tony Rasan? Well, first of all, I did a whole breakdown on this channel 2 years ago called Who Were the Members of BDP? Please go back and check it out. I break down everybody who was in Boogie Down Productions to my best of my recollection. And I got a call from DJ Red Alert who told me I did a good job, which made me feel really good. So please check that out. It explains all of that. Long story short, Mick Boo, that's my dude. That is my dude, is D Nice's cousin and DJ. He was down with BDP. I don't know what exactly his role was in BDP, because as I joined BDP, Mick Boo and D Nice were leaving. And Mick Boo DJs for D Nice, or did then, and that's his cousin. RoboCop boy is down with us. Well, there's 2 RoboCops. There was a RoboCop that was from the Latin Quarter era security, and then he got replaced by the new RoboCop. His name is Keith. And please check out that video I did on who are the members of BDP, because I break down, I show everybody's face and everything. Tony Rasan was D Nice's manager. Yes, D Nice's management company was 40th Street Black, and I believe Tony Rasan was his manager. So Tony Rasan and Mick Boo are D Nice affiliated. I don't know how RoboCop got down with the crew. Who was the best singer between Eric Sermon and Biz Markie? Gotta go Biz, because Biz had a million selling song. 1 million records sold. This is the gold album from that, and it has a platinum single and a gold single because it's Spring Again is a gold single. Um, so Biz has million selling credits to his singing catalog singles. Eric Sermon, hey, Eric Sermon, he did that. That was on Redman's album. And he did So Amazing, and I'll Be Waiting. I just feel like he sung more for fun, little bits and pieces. But Biz had a hit. Plus, Biz did We Write the Songs, was huge in New York. I'm going Biz. Patrick Wise says KP Biz should have had you sing backup on Just a Friend. I was in the studio when they were mixing that song, when they finishing that song. Maybe I could have jumped on. No, no. First time I heard that, I knew it was a hit. That some people were like, they heard it and thought it was whack. The first time I heard Just a Friend, I was like, that one is going. Benny Doyle says, Kenny, you were more than just the chorus. Are we in there? You were the best line. Weightlifting. Thank you. KRS made me say that line. Go in the studio and say this. And I spoke at the beginning of that record too, in the intro. I was all over that song. That's funny though. Tomorrow is Percy P's birthday, Dear Marasuti. I did not know that. Me and Percy P are born on the same day. I met Percy P a few times. He was mad cool. Um, Diesel says, why does it seem like everything you produce, Chris remixes for the video? Did he think your beats were whack? I don't know. Um, well, first of all, it was very difficult for me to get on BDP projects because I had a very rocky relationship with Jive Records. And I talked about this on the Sex and Violence. For those who did not see my Sex and Violence album breakdown, please watch it. It's on this channel. I go into detail about that album, my production on that album, and the aftermath of that album. But Jive did not like just about anything I've ever done. So it was very difficult for me to get on projects like that. And then Chris is very particular too. I have to play him beats that he like. If I play him beats he don't like, he'll say I don't like it. I submitted beats for Return of the Boom Bap. My beat didn't make it. I submitted beats for the KRS-One self-titled album. Didn't make it. I submitted beats for what was the album after that? I Got Next. Didn't make it. As a matter of fact, I got a shout out on the back of the album. On the back of I Got Next, there's a little piece that goes, shout out to the producers that didn't make the album. And my name is on there. Thank you for that shout out. A couple of beats that I submitted to KRS for the KRS-One album that didn't make the cut is on Heather B's album, Taking Mine. I'm not going to say which ones, but a couple of those beats on there, I played for Chris and he didn't want them. That's part of it too. So it's Jive Records fighting against me being on anything. Then I had to get past Chris. He didn't give me any kind of uh, brotherly favoritism. And then A lot of times my singles were my songs that I produced were like the third single off the album. And usually back in those days, the third single off the album, by that point, the album had been out close to a year by the time you get to your third single. And they usually remix that third single to try to give it a new life. So it just so happens that my song We In There, by the time they decided to make that a single, it was the third single that got remixed by Ali Shaheed Muhammad. Big up to my brother Ali Shaheed. Double Trouble, I think that was the second or third single off Mad Lion's album. They decided to remix that, and Chris rhymed on that. Um, that's really it. I worked on some stuff with Chris behind the scenes. I'm uncredited on, but yeah, so that's probably the reason. That's a great question because I don't know if he thought my to answer the question, I don't know if Chris thought my beats were whack. It's just that if some of them he thought was whack and some of them he didn't, just like anybody else. He treated me like anybody else. And there's beats that I thought was dope that I played him that he didn't pick. So there you have it. Um, but I've done enough. I've produced when Chris was on Jive Records. I probably did 10. I'll say off the top of my head. I probably did 10 songs. I probably produced 10 songs for him, maybe that I'm credited for, and I probably did another 3 or 4 that I worked on uncredited. So I was in the mix. Um, I'm going very deep into this. This is a very good question for me. Um, I would have loved for him to have not remixed my beats and put them out as they were, but that's the game. That's the game. CMC's Technique in Class, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel as usual. Happy belated birthday, KP. Eric Sermon put out Muddy Waters and Keith Murray's Enigma albums. Yes, he did. Eric Sermon is one of my favorite producers of all time, and I was blessed to have a quick conversation with him a couple of months ago on the phone. He was chilling with Heather B, and Heather called me, and she knows I love Eric Sermon, so she called me and put me and Eric on the phone. I had a chance to chop it up with him real quick about a beat, actually, that he did. A beat, what were we talking about? This Redman song called the Rottweiler Remix. Y'all remember that? It was for There Is a Dark Side. It was the remix, there's a video for it too. Boom, 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 boom. That beat was fire. When I was talking to Eric Sermon about how he made that track. So I got to pick his brain real quick. How does the producer pick a sound for each MC, you think? That's a great question. Um, there are producers who, well, when you're presenting music to an artist, there's a couple of thought processes. When you're a big, known, successful producer, artists are coming to you for your sound. So they're coming to you. Let's say I'm coming to CMC's Technique and I'm saying, oh shoot, where did the question go? Wait a minute. Sorry. This thing just jumped off the question. There it is. Say I'm producing for CMC. CMC is a producer. They're gonna come to you and say, CMC, I would like a track that sounds like your style. And so whatever you make, that's your style is what they're looking for. Or sometimes a producer meets up with an artist and they collab on what exactly it is you're looking for. I'm looking for some hard shit. I'm looking for a love song. I'm looking for a party record. and they sit and they talk and they go through ideas and they kind of craft a song. That's how I hear Pharrell does it. He sits with you and they talk and they vibe until they come up with something. Um, and then you have the third lane, which is producers just playing beats until an artist decides there's one that catches his ear. A lot of times that's really how it goes. You come, you got beats, play, ready, go. And the artist sits there and you play. Um, and if they like one, they'll be like, that one, number 9, let's rock with that. And then they'll take it. Um, that is very nerve-wracking too. I could tell you an epic fail with me with that. I was working with an artist, a known artist, and I came to the studio to play some beats. And the reason I even got on is because another big producer was working with this artist, and the artist needed some other beats or another sound. He's like, I'm gonna call my man Kenny Parker. Yo, KP, I'm working on this thing. Come down. I ran to the studio with my SP 1200 and a stack of discs. And I was just grabbing discs. Came there, the artist was there with his friend playing cards. So I started playing beats and I put in the beat, press play, no reaction. They're just playing cards. Like imagine they're playing, say, spades, and they're talking spades, and they're talking, playing cards. Like, damn, put in another beat, press play. I'm like this, no reaction. They're just playing cards. Yeah, cool. I played 10 beats, no reaction. I was about to leave, and I had this one disc that I brought just on the humble. Something just told me to bring it. I wasn't even gonna bring it because it was an old beat, and I thought I had stuff that was better, especially for this artist. And I brought it and I stuck it in. As soon as I pressed play, they would play cards and they stopped. Yo, that's it right there. Put that up, record that on Twitch. So the whole time I'm playing beats, they were listening, but they just wasn't hearing nothing. They weren't even giving me the respect to say what else you have or no. They just was going about their business. Like if I had have left, they wouldn't have cared at all. But when I played the 11th beat, they stopped playing cards and said, yes, let's use that beat. So that's an epic fail in my opinion, because that was very, very gut wrenching. 10 times I could tell y'all a million stories like that. But yeah, so that's mostly been my experience, has been playing beats for MCs, and they pick through your beats like bones and see if they find one that they like. And a lot of times they might pick one that we agree, like this is dope. And sometimes they pick a beat and I'm like, you pick that one over this one? I thought this was the one. But they're like, no, we like this. Hey, if you like it, I love it. So that's been my experience. But when you start climbing up that ladder to being the top producers, you have a whole different experience. Like I've heard DJ Premier, he makes a beat for an artist right there in the studio based on what he thinks sounds good for them. And whatever the beat is the beat. Like this is the beat. So he's working on it, and what he comes up with is the beat for the most part. So that's a very long-winded answer to your question. Um, that's been my experience. And since I've been talking, I have 38 comments now that I've missed. Raj Justice says, I have friends who are both husband and wife and DJ and MC and remains friends with both of them after they split. Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening. But like I said, my relationship with Harmony was not the relationship like we were friends outside of work. We were friends brought together. But I don't think I've ever been in a room with Harmony by myself, just me and Harmony and nobody else, ever. So when the situation went south, I mean, for me it was I'm over here with Chris. Rosemel, Kenny, didn't Harmony play your sister in the Love's Gonna Get You music video? Yes, that was Harmony who played my sister. Def Rocker says, have you heard about the rapper from the Outlaws who unalived himself? Yes, I saw that. Um, and we talk from time to time on this channel about mental health. And we always talk about physical health, but mental health doesn't get talked about enough. And when you're a man or you're a guy from the streets in the hood, you almost cannot talk about your mental health. It's a sign of weakness. So a lot of guys, even into their later years, and we learn this from young, suffer in silence and have mental issues and just doesn't say anything, and it festers to the point where a person feels like it's time to check out. If that's what happened to him, I don't know all of the details. That is very unfortunate, not just for him being a rapper, just a person in general. To feel like you want to check out has to be the most unnatural thing for a living organism. And but it's a human thing though, and that's just all I could do is send prayers to his family and his friends. And if you are a person who is going through something, there's no shame in getting help. There's no shame in talking to somebody. There's no shame in even talking to a woman that you're in a relationship with. If you confide in a woman that you have a relationship with, that you're having some issues, and she sees you in another light, it's probably time to go. I'm gonna leave that like that. Floetry, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Um, Corey Anno says, hold up, Sob Story and 70 J's is made by the same guy. What is his name? Not Sob Story, PTA, Case of the PTA, and 7 DJs was made by the same guy. I believe his name was Backspin. There's a few DJ Backspins, but I believe his name was Backspin. And he did PTA, and actually, I don't know which one he did first because 7 DJ, because Edutainment came out in 1990. Edutainment came out before PTA, but he probably was working on all of it around the same time because it came, I mean, Leaders of the New School, that single dropped probably right at the top of 91, right? Something like that, or early 91. So he could have been working on it around that time. I'm not sure. I don't even know how Chris met him. Patrick Wise says, KP, once again, imagine if Michael Jackson was a fan of rap. I heard he did like rap. I heard he used to watch Rap City all the time. He would have been even more iconic because he would have do video cameos and even spit some balls on records. Now, him rapping would have been crazy. Um, he, well, he used to like all of the young rappers like Criss Cross and all that stuff. I don't even know if we'd even go down that. I'm not even gonna go down that lane. But he had Heavy D rap on a song with him. He had Big on a song, Naughty by Nature. Um, I would say I don't know if he was a fan of rap, but they say I've seen people say he used to watch Rap City. So, oh, I'm bugging. You said Michael Jordan. I said I'm thinking Michael Jackson. I'm bugging. I'm all this time saying I'm in my mind. I'm thinking Michael Jackson. Imagine if Michael Jordan was a fan of rap. Now I heard Michael Jordan didn't like rap. I'm sorry about that. Michael Jordan, not Jackson. Jordan. Yeah, I heard Michael Jackson didn't like rap. Michael Jordan didn't like rap, or he didn't like rappers. But Michael Jackson, yeah. I could never make out what was said after D Nice. Break it down like this or self destruction. Yeah, that's an old break beat. Children go. I don't know what they're saying either. Everyone's got to make a living. And Heaven and Hell is the name of the record. Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell. But that children, that's the DJs in the park used to cut that out. Children, da, 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 da. Then they throw on the break beat. Then they go back. Children, go, da, 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 da. Then they throw on the next break beat. That was like a routine. Um, Big up to D Nice for producing Self Destruction. Uh, this is funny right here. Flochi says, my grandma used to say, getting old is not for the weak. It is not. Your body just starts to break down. I'm going to jump down, y'all. I'm going to skip like 40 comments. Uh, and pick up right here. I'm going to jump right here. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can see a good question. Derek Mallory, salute from Minneapolis. Always liked Minneapolis. Question Blackwell says, what's your take on comedian Sommore? First of all, Sommore is crazy. Saying the city girls are salt and pepper with no drawers on. Well, that would be that. First of all, putting the city girls in the same breath with salt and pepper is a huge compliment for the city girls. I'll tell you something funny about Sommore. I was hanging with Biz one time. This had to be in the in the early 2000s. So let's say 06, 07. We was at a party. We was at a performance. It was Slick Rick performing. Biz was with Slick Rick. Lisa and the Cult Jam. Nice and Smooth and Chub Rock. And it was at a place called BB King's. BB King's in Times Square, New York. It's closed now, I believe. And I've hung with Biz dozens and dozens of times. I've been around him in many different situations. And I always see when he's around women, he's always like making jokes at them and cracking on them, or, just being casual and funny with girls. We were chilling backstage, and this one woman walks up, and Biz sees her, and all of a sudden he gets very serious. And he says, "What's up?" She says, "What's up?" He says, "What's up?" And like they greet each other, but Biz was very he was so respectful to this lady. I'm like, well, who is this that Biz shows all of this respect to? Because I've never seen Biz show this much respect to a woman. Even other artists, I've seen Biz say what's up to them. As soon as they turn around, he'll crack a joke in my ear. So, we start laughing. So I've never seen Biz this serious, but when this woman walked up, Biz was very serious. Hello, how you doing? Good to see you. She turned around. There was no joking or nothing. I was like, who the hell is this? A little while later, they was like, that's Sommore. I was like, oh, I didn't recognize Sommore. For some reason, she looked different to me. I didn't recognize her, but she was on fire. And I do believe Biz may have DJ'd some of her comedy shows. This was she was selling out theaters and arenas. She's what was she? Queens of Comedy and all that stuff around that time, a little after that time. But the respect Biz showed Sommore was something I had never seen him do ever before. Just that story just came to my mind. To answer your question, what is my take on that? It's mad funny, and City Girls mentioned in the same breath with Salt and Pepper is um, a great compliment. All right, I am way behind. Let me scroll down some more. Damn, man, I'm just jumping through comments. Patrick Wise says, KP, one of my favorite samples is Try a Little Tenderness Kanye used for Otis. It seems so simple, but genius at the same time. Yes, that's one of my favorite Kanye productions. I'm just gonna skip to just questions. Oh, MMA says Kenny sounds like Rodney Dangerfield. Well, I don't get any respect. Guys, can we please keep this channel respectful? This is not a playground. Respect KP in the community, please. Uh, yes, I have seen some sexually explicit comments on this channel. I've commented before about it. Please refrain from using sexually explicit um, comments in the comment section because we have some ladies in the chat and gentlemen, and we're trying to keep this channel at a certain level, and I don't want to get flagged. This is going to be my final warning, and I'm going to have to start blocking some people. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit. Jack Swagger says Primo making beats on the spot is GOAT status. Yeah. Yeah. And he's GOAT status. Typo says, why are you so hung up on him and Harmony? Get over it. Maybe Harmony was his favorite artist. Yo, Jack Swagger says, KP, I'm only finding out today that Nas Hate Me Now was BDP's part-time suckers beat. Wow. I'm finding this out right now. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can hear it. I'd have to really go back and listen to that. Wow. Did they use the same drums and everything or just the pattern? Wow. I'm only finding this out today too, if that's true. That'd be a great piece of trivia. Chino XL unalived himself, sad RIP. Yes. Very sad. Very sad. Um, Benny Doyle says, KP, you being from BK, I am. Do you believe Jay-Z lost 92? Jay-Z's last night. I don't understand what you mean. Do you believe Jay-Z lost 92? I don't understand what you mean by that. KB Play, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says KP, got a Biz story. One of my bros saw Biz battle and destroy a local DJ who kept pressing Biz to battle him. LOL, nobody beats the Biz. RIP. Yeah, man. Be careful what you ask for. That's funny. Um, and Biz was always down to battle. Um, That is funny. Let's see. Well, there are some lists this week that City Girls as top 20 all-time duos. No disrespect to City Girls. They had a couple of joints, but all-time duos? Do they mean for women? There haven't been that many women duos. But top 20 duos of all time? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Theo Sanders says after D Nice or Self Destruction, the lyrics are children growing, women producing, men go work, and some go stealing. Everyone's got to make a living. How do you know that, Theo? That sounds right. Did you look that up? Because that you heard that? I've probably heard that sample hundreds of times, and I have no idea what they were talking about. And it sounds great. That's dope, though. Thank you. Uh, KP, did you ever hang out at Playland, the arcade at 40 Dudes? Dudes used to gamble on NBA jams. No, I know what you're talking about. Back in the day, the Deuce was too dangerous. My years of coming up when I would have hung on the Deuce, the Playland, all that stuff, it was too wild, man. It was too much going on. The Deuce was ridiculous back then. I'm talking the 80s into the 90s. Um, so no, anytime I was on the Deuce, I was going there for a specific purpose. I never chilled on the Deuce. I never like left my house to go hang at 42nd. A lot of people used to do that, but it was 42nd in the 80s, man, and early 90s was off the walls. Every crime that you think could be happening was happening all at once on 42nd. Anthony Gus says, Biz DJed many times in early 2000s at this club in Long Island called Taboo. Have you ever been there when he was DJing? For a second, I was there with Biz. Yeah. I do remember going with Biz to a club in Long Island when he was DJing. Yes. I used to be with Biz all over the place. I used to be with Biz when he first started DJing. I was with Biz in a party in New Jersey. This is in like 89. When he asked the DJ, can I get on? He just wanted to do one mix with two records. Let me just mix these two records together and I'll get off. That was early Biz DJ, and me and him used to hang out. I was there even then. Let's see. Floji says, yo, KP, I heard a super ill KRS song over a track by True Master. It had the word meta in the title, and it was one of KRS' best verses I've ever heard. Are you familiar with the song I'm talking about? No, but I remember the album. He did an album with True Master, probably, what is that? Like 2009, 2010, something like that. He did a whole album with True Master. Um, GF World says, who's being a jive turkey in the comments? No, I've been seeing comments. I'll be seeing comments because after I get off, I go back and I read some of the comments. And I see certain things that are a little bit, let's just move on from that. But we let's just not have that on the channel. 49 Neil, yo, Kenny, did you hear King Son said back in the early 90s he stepped to KRS-One about a misquote in a magazine? I was there. It's a whole story behind that. I'm not going to tell it at this point. That's one of them beefs that wasn't a beef. Let me not use the word beef. There's one of those. That's one of those incidences that I don't really bring up that much. Maybe one day I will tell that story, my recollection of it. Um, or maybe if we can get King Son on here. I saw King Son a couple years ago. It's all love. King Son is family, but there was an incident, absolutely, and I was in the building. Kenny, I can't believe you never knew Nas sampled Part Time Sucker. No, the drums. Everybody knew that. Rihanna used the drums too. No, and that's track masters who would have done that, I believe. Um, boom, pat, boom, pat. I gotta go back. Wow, I did not know that. I gotta say, that went right past me, and I like Hate Me Now. That used to kill the tunnel. Jamil Love, is KRS back in the U.S.? Yes. DJ Doc needs to appear on the show. Of course he does, and I'm fronting. Not that I don't want him on the show. I gotta make that call. Um, let's see. And this is Gregory Netta says it's 9:01 in my Kenny Parker voice. It's actually, for me, it's 9:06. So I'm only 5 minutes behind right now. I'm flowing. Let's see if I could catch up some more. Oh, this is crazy. I haven't really talked too much about this. We all being true hip hop heads know damn well Jim Jones can't touch Nas on Nasir's worst day. Me and Nas share the same born day, so maybe I'm biased. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. And we welcome all opinions on this channel. I'm trying to understand what measure that you measure. I'm trying to figure out what measurement that you have measured, that you can measure, that has Nas and Jim Jones even in the same tier. Forget who's better. How are they even in the same tier? And it could be. I'm just saying what measure. I haven't heard the measurement. Like, everyone, so and so is better than so and so because, and you state your case. What is the case? The only thing I've heard so far is Jim Jones had better belt buckles. That's really it. No disrespect to Jim Jones. He's had a hell of a career. I say that every time. He's had a hell of a career. I just want to know what's the measurement that we're using, that they're using. And I'm not even trying to touch on that subject too much. Um, Mike Rock says one of the biggest what ifs was the DLC. He was fired. That's right at the top of the biggest what ifs in hip hop history. Right up there with what if Big and Pac never passed. That's probably the biggest. What if Big and Pac had a pieced it out? I'm not saying that that's what led to what happened, but what if they pieced it out and they both remained alive? What if? Where would they have gone? Um, and what if the DLC had, we could have heard more from him, because we heard more from him as a writer, writing a lot of the Chronic. But what if we got to hear his voice at that time when nobody does it better? One of my all-time favorite albums. What if we got a chance to hear him then? Zenith Star Music Heaven Records, that's a long name, says Biz was one of the first artists I seen in the flesh as a kid in New Jersey. The first artist I saw in the flesh was the Fat Boys. I was on 40 Deuce, don't know where I was going, and like a town car, like a big town car, was riding past on 42nd, and all three of the fat boys were in this car. So you know it was a big town car. And one of them, I believe it was Buffy, was hanging out of the sunroof. And they were riding down the street. And I said, oh, that's the fat boys. This had to be like 86, 85, 86. 85, 86 is the first artist I seen in the flesh. You know what? That's a lie, because I saw Sweet G, Games People Play, and I mentioned that he was a counselor when my brother was living in a group home in the Bronx. When my brother lived in a group home in the Bronx in 83, 83, 84, as a teen. One of his counselors was Sweet G from Games People Play. And this is only like a couple years, or like, yeah, this is like a year or two after the record was a hit. But he was a counselor at this group home. He's the first artist I ever saw in the flesh, and then it was the Fat Boys. Let me scroll down. Patrick White says, KP for real, the Deuce was wild, but it was Brooklyn cats. That was the problem. That's always the problem. In New York City, anywhere you went in New York City where everyone gathered, 90% of the time, the problem was Brooklyn. Anybody on the chat from BK, no disrespect, but Brooklyn cats will bring down the property value wherever they go. Patrick, why? You know I'm laughing because I say that too. This is facts. I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised. I went to high school at Abraham Lincoln High School in Coney Island. I am from BK all day. And Brooklyn will ruin any event. I don't know about now. Brooklyn now is so gentrified. Brooklyn isn't even Brooklyn anymore. But Brooklyn back in the day will ruin any party, any gathering, any concert, any club, any mall, any place where everybody goes. If Brooklyn goes, it's gonna be a problem. And they was on the Deuce heavy. They was in Latin Quarters heavy. That's why the property value of Latin Quarters went down. Brooklyn. Def Rocker said King Son had beef with everyone. Seems. DJ Platform says, yo, yeah, Kenny, KRS-One and True Master album called Meta Historical, released in 2010. I was on it. Yeah. Henry Sedillo, what a trip Kenny P is. I see all kind of BS in the comment section on other people's podcast shows, but I never hardly see that BS on your podcast. Everyone is always pretty respectful. Yeah, for the most part, everyone is. Every so often we see something crazy on here, but I like having like-minded people on the channel. And that's why I say, please hit the like button so we can have more like-minded people on the channel. We try to have an intelligent conversation on this channel. And, and that's one of the reasons, not a main reason, but one of the reasons why I stopped posting a lot of the beef stories, because when I post beef stories, I get thousands, tens of thousands more people to the channel than normal. And it brings a lot of weirdos. And that's not a reason for me to stop telling the stories, but it's in the back of my mind. Like if I tell this story, a lot of weirdos are gonna come out the woodwork. So I got some good ones, y'all. Y'all want to talk about I got BDP had some good ones that nobody knows about. One day I'm gonna tell them. Some of them I'm not gonna tell because Some of them I'm not going to tell because it's water under the bridge, but some of them I should tell. Corey Flex says, Kenny, King's son spoke about that incident very recently. It's on YouTube. He mentions your name. Ah, big up King's son. He wasn't dissed or nothing. I think he laughed about it. Yeah, it wasn't a beef. It was two people that knew each other met up to have a conversation like that. It was, it wasn't jokey. It wasn't a jokey conversation, but it wasn't beef. What's in between? What's a level down from beef? Wasn't beef. It wasn't like that. It was like a level down, but it was a serious conversation. I'll leave it at that. Gregory Netta says Jim Jones is not even top 75. Well, according to him, if he's better than Nas, he's way up there. He's in the top at least 5. The debate is he top in Dipset? Yeah, that's why I said he is in the top 75 in Dipset. No disrespect to Jim Jones. I'm just saying Dipset has some other MCs that's dope. I don't know. I would just like to hear his argument. I would like to hear it and not yelling like, when he was with Unk and them Shannon Sharp and them, that got ugly. I would like to have an intelligent conversation with Jim Jones, and I would like to hear him present his argument. John O says better belts. Yeah, that's what I heard. Yo, his belt, look, you seen the belt buckles he had on? I'm like, yeah, well, he probably did. Actually, I never even looked at Nas's belts. So even for me to say Jim Jones had better belts, then I'd have to go back and really look at Nas's belts and his clothes. Let's see. Yeah, y'all killing Jim Jones on here. I hope Nas does not respond. Jim Jones said, John said Jim Jones uses better paper towels than Nas. Even that's an argument. Does he really? Is he using the 2-ply? Or, I would like to hear the argument. Jimmy, I don't know Jim Jones from Adam. Never met him. I don't even think I've seen him in person. He probably couldn't care less what I think, which is fine. But if Jim Jones, if you happen to run across the Kenny Parker Show, I would love to just have a serious conversation about what metric has you not only as good as Nas, but really over him. Energy Brooks, I don't recognize that name. What up? The Hate Me Now drums weren't sampled, it was just the same pattern. The original beat pattern from Part-Time Sucker was from Mikey's Monkey by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Big up to KRS on that production. Um, so he used the same pattern, but did he get it from Smokey Robinson or did he get it from Part-Time Sucker? And so he's saying it's not the drums. I got to go back and listen to that when we get off. Cousin Rabbit says, Yo, KP, I was watching an old Epic Fails. Thank you. And man, you dropped the ball on Edwin Birdsong. Yes, I did. Played myself. I was laughing and shaking my head the whole time. Yes, for those that did not see, and this was not a highly watched Epic Fails. It's called All Samples Cleared. All Samples Cleared. I talk about my time meeting some old school rappers, old school singers, and having sample conversations and playing myself to the maximum. And one of them was with Edwin Birdsong. If I know then what I know now, it had a nice long conversation with it. Would have tried to get him on the channel. Rosmel says Kumo D was the first for me. First artist you saw in real life. Jim Jones got better gray beards than Nas. He might. That might be legit. Jim Jones got a better shadow than Nas. Yes. MK Ultra, always crazy to reflect on the fact that KRS was homeless. Wild. Please, please, those that don't have the book, get the book. The whole story is there. It's wilder than you even think it is. Whatever you think of KRS-One being homeless as being wild is nothing compared to how he got there. Terry says that the first time I saw a live MC was the Crush Groove Christmas concert back in '85. I was 10. That's dope. Great Beard says group home that used to be off of White Plains Road. No, the group home was in Soundview. I believe it was on Lacombe Avenue. Lacombe Avenue in Soundview. Big up Soundview. Big up Lord Tariq and Peter Guns. Did not know it was such an ill crew in Soundsville. Was it Sex Money? I don't even want to say the last part. Did not know that that Soundview project was that ill because I used to walk past there all the time in the early 80s going to see Chris up in the group home in Soundview. And turns out that group home, that project in Soundview in the Bronx was off the walls. But no, it wasn't a one off White Plains Road. It was in Soundview. But we used to be in White Plains, though. Jack Swagger says Brooklyn was that cloud of smoke you see in a cartoon during a fight. Absolutely. Absolutely. Tampa Bay, late again. We about to get, it's 9:13 for you, Tampa Bay, and I'm behind, but come on, Tampa Bay. Better late than never, though. And big up to the Rewind crew. MK Ultra, best hip hop chat on YouTube. Respect, y'all. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We a family here, man. Green Talons. Yo, King KP, what up? KRS song, You're Slipping. Was that song supposed to be on Criminal Minded album, or was he able to save it for that by All Means Necessary album? Not sure. Because he used a similar beat. He used poetry basically over. Not sure about that one. That's a good question. Not sure. That's something KRS would have to answer. Christopher Caldwell, what up, though? Happy birthday, bro. Coming up tomorrow. Yes, my birthday is tomorrow. Thank you so much, Christopher Caldwell. Patrick Wise says DJ Breakout was the first person he saw. Is this before records? He's not even the most famous Jim Jones. Come on, Reggie Johnson. That is mad funny. Now I see the Kool-Aid references. Yeah. That actually made my day. That's funny. Let's see if I can get this right. Angel Cortinez? Cortinez? Angel Cortinaz. Sorry, I know it's terrible. What's good from Spain? Big up from Spain. John O. KP, would you bother interviewing Jim Jones? Yeah, I would. Um, just for my own curiosity and hip hop conversation, I haven't seen all of Jim Jones's interviews because he's making the rounds now. This is great for Jimmy. Um, but all I just see is yelling. I would really like to see, for real, state your case. And I would love to interview him and see what his case is. If Jim Jones was good, what happened during that verses with Locks? Jada ate their whole set. That's an opinion. Seems to be a widely held opinion, but still is opinion. There's some people who probably said he was better. Divine Existence says, peace, KP. Rockness Monster, that's my dude, calls a disagreement that isn't real beef, vegan beef. Let's say, to me, KRS and King's son didn't, it could have been beef if they didn't already have a past history and knew each other well, and the type of brothers they both are. So it wouldn't have been like, if it was one person woofing, it wouldn't have been one person woofing the other person down. It would have been a meeting of two strong-minded individuals. So because of that, and they knew each other, I say I would. Vegan beef is funny. I wouldn't call it vegan beef. It could have escalated, I think, but it never escalated, which is good. Chris Caldwell, how do you think? Thank you. This is a question about that's in the book. How do you honestly think you would have faced against John Sally if he played in that one high school game he was hurt? I was 15. I was a sophomore. I was just in the varsity. And the reason I was like the eighth man on the team as a sophomore. The reason I got to start in that game was because three of our starters got suspended, I think, for missing class. So three of our main guys weren't there, so I was going to get thrown into the fire. And since I was the tallest person on the team, practically the tallest person in the school, I probably would have matched up against senior John Sally. Sophomore Kenny Parker against senior John Sally, I think I would have had major problems. I think senior Kenny Parker against John Sally. John Sally was really good in high school. Shout out to Canarsie High School. He was a force. I mean, senior Kenny Parker would have probably done a little better, but John Sally, I would have had all kind of problems, and I was nervous too, so that wouldn't have helped. I would have had to have the game of my life to have played decently against John Sally at that time. John Dixon, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says, do you agree that I'm Still Number One extended version sounds better than the original? What do you mean by sounds? Does it mean a better song? It was a whole different vibe because KRS was going at the poet on that record. I can hear that argument. I love both versions. That's my Still Number One is my favorite record on By All Means Necessary, and probably a top five, definitely a top five KRS record for me of all time. I was in the studio for that numero uno That's what's called the Numero Uno mix. I think DJ Doc did production on that. And I got a shout out in the beginning of that too. But yeah, I can agree with that. The extended version could be considered better, yes. Thank you for your contribution to the channel. Um, it's 9:30, y'all. We done an hour and a half. Uh, but I am gonna do a scroll all the way down to the bottom. And I just skipped 50 comments. And I'm gonna just jump right here. Ezel Rockwell says, "Oh, word, KRS did say, yo, better at quoting Clarence 13X, but he was going at X Clan and not King Son, and Son had his own issues with X Clan." I believe, yeah, I believe the song we're talking about, "Build and Destroy," which was the answer to X Clan, produced by Kenny Parker on the Sex and Violence album. I believe that that song came out, the whole Sex and Violence album was out prior to King Son's incident with KRS. So King Son might have thought but I don't see why he would think of going at him. You understand, BDP and King Son is mad cool from Latin Quarter days. So I don't see where he would think that KRS would be going at him specifically. I don't think that's what the argument was about. But I'll probably get into it a little later on for what I understand. But that record was mostly about X Clan. Let's see. Chris Cross said, "That's what's up. I think you would have hustled and played tough. You would have held your own." I think I would like to think I would have, but looking at myself as a sophomore, I was so much better as a senior in high school than I was as a sophomore. And I know how scared. When I saw John Sally, I was terrified. I had never seen a person who was 6'9" before. He was 6'9" in high school. He was the tallest person I ever seen in my life. And I was already like, oh my God, when I saw him. So I was already nervous. And he was 2 years older than me. I would have had problems. I think I would have I would have had problems. Jack Swagger says, "King Son thought everybody was going at him. King Son asked his shadow, why you keep following me?" Oh, gosh. Corey Flood says, "Kenny, according to King Son on YouTube, that KRS interview in the source mentioned earlier quoted KRS saying something about Clarence 13X. I do believe he did, and I think that was part of the why King Son chose to have a conversation with KRS. Like I mentioned, that source interview, if you guys get a chance to find that source interview with KRS on the cover, it says Sex and Violence, that interview caused so much problems. Mad problems from that interview. And that's where KRS first said, "I am hip hop," which caused mad problems. All right, I'm gonna jump off, and we will be back, God willing, on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My birthday is tomorrow. I will be having a blast. I'm trying to make this smaller, but I can't. Oh man, here we go. Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, I'm going to drop another beat in the beat series that I'm doing. I'm going to drop dozens for you guys to listen to. I was going through some discs and I found beats that I forgot I even had. All kind of stuff, R&B tracks, rock, I was doing a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna let you guys hear all of it. But first, I wanted to let you guys, I wanted to put up the stuff we already heard. Some people wanted to rap over it or hear it clearer. So I'm gonna put that up. Tomorrow, I'm gonna put up the homemade beat. And then I'm gonna catch you guys on Friday. And big up to the Rewind crew. Uh, and that's it. Um, that's it. We out of here. Thank you so much for you guys who contributed to my birthday. Believe me, I will have a nice time. And I'm out. All right, peace, 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 peace. Friday.